Ever felt like you were stuck in a relationship that was dragging you down, no matter how hard you tried? That was my life for 11 years, trapped in a cycle of lies, abuse, and broken promises. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape the feeling that I was never good enough. He was a social butterfly, the life of every party. I, on the other hand, was a quiet one, content with my small circle. But no matter how much I tried to just be myself, he made sure to remind me that people didn't like me. His words cut deeper than I ever let on. He would say things like, "People talk about you behind your back. They think you're weird." Those words stuck with me, creating doubts I didn't need, especially in a relationship already filled with so much uncertainty. And I believed him. The more I tried to please him, the more I lost sight of who I was, the more isolated I became. He made sure I felt small, like I didn't belong anywhere except by his side. But the truth is, he was the one who couldn't stand to see me happy unless I was giving him exactly what he wanted. I never liked bottoming, but I did it for him, thinking it would keep him happy. He was usually the bottom, but I tried to make him feel fulfilled, even at my own expense. Little did I know, the sacrifices I made weren't just in the bedroom. They were in my soul. And that's when the toxic cycle really started to take its toll. For all those years, I tried to make him happy, and in return, he made my life a living hell. I was 23 years old when I met him. So, about that ex. We were together for 11 years. Yeah, 11. That's not a relationship. That's a sentence. And let me tell you, I did the time. Now, he wasn't just a social drinker. No, he was the kind of drunk who thought vodka was a food group and believed I only had two was a valid excuse, even if two meant 2 bottles. He'd hide bottles like Easter eggs, except I never got a chocolate prize at the end, just a headache and a therapy bill. Laundry basket, vodka. Behind the toilet, rum. Inside a cereal box, tequila. It was like living in a boozy scavenger hunt that never ended. There was one night, and I'll never forget this. I came home from work, and he was drunk off his ass trying to fry chicken in the bathtub because, and I quote, "The stove doesn't feel safe right now." And you know what? He wasn't wrong. He wasn't safe around the stove, or me, or himself. And every time I tried to leave, he'd cry, sob, do the whole, "I'll change, I swear" routine. You know how many times I heard that? So many, I could have made a greatest hits album. But when I finally walked away in 2011, something in me snapped into place. I wasn't just done with him. I was done with dating. That relationship didn't just burn me out. It straight up charboiled my romantic life. By the time I left, I felt like one of those shell-shocked survivors from a reality show. Except there was no prize money, just trauma and a broken coffee maker. And people always ask, but weren't there good times? Sure, there were. But you know what else is good times? Tornadoes. There's a calm right before it destroys everything you love. So, let's talk about the really fun part of my over-a-decade relationship. The fights. And I'm not talking about petty arguments over who ate the last slice of pizza. No, I mean the kind of fights that made you wonder if you were starring in your own personal horror movie. He'd get drunk, and I mean drunk, and suddenly every little thing was a reason to fight. The way I looked at him, the way I breathed too loud, the way I couldn't find the remote. Everything, and I mean everything, was a fight waiting to happen. One night, we were coming back from a gay bar. I mean, come on, it should have been a fun night out, right? But of course it wasn't. We'd barely made it down the street before his tipsy brain decided it was time to start a fight. I can't even remember the stupid thing he got mad about. But I do remember that we were in his car, and he was way too drunk to be behind the wheel. So here we are, me just trying to keep my cool, hoping we can make a hole without me having to intervene and deal with him on one of his drunken rages. Then it happened. He grabs the steering wheel. Not like a little nudge. No, he yanked it hard enough that we nearly went off the road and straight into a guardrail. The car swerved. My heart almost jumped out of my chest. But wait! It gets better. In the same breath, in the same moment of chaos, he punched me in the face. I didn't even see it coming. 1 minute. were swerving, and the next, I'm sitting there with blood on my lip, trying to figure out how I didn't end up dead on the side of the road. It was one of those moments where I honestly thought, this is it. I'm not getting out of this alive. But somehow I did, and the worst part? That wasn't the first time something like this happened. Oh no, that was just a Tuesday in my life back then. There were other times, plenty of them, where I wondered why I kept putting myself in that position, wondering how I could be so stupid to think maybe things would change. But they never did. Here's the thing about being in a toxic, abusive relationship. The cycle never ends. He'd promised to change all the time. I'll go to rehab. I'll stop drinking. I'll be a better person, I swear. But guess what? He never did. It was always the same. The same empty promises, the same excuses. And eventually, I stopped believing them. But like a fool, I still stuck around, thinking maybe, just maybe, one day he'd actually come through. But he never did. And you know what really got me? The manipulation. Like the time he called the cops on me. He told them I hit him. I didn't touch him. But of course, the police didn't see it that way. They came, and the next thing I know, I'm being kicked out of my own house. They looked him over, and guess what? No marks. Nothing. But me? I had a lip that was split, bruises that would fade in a few days. But it didn't matter. He was the victim in his own story. I ended up walking across town, the whole town, from one end to the other. I didn't even care. I just needed air. I needed to get away from the madness. I went to the gas station, bought a Mountain Dew, because, yeah, that's the kind of night it was. It wasn't a heroic moment. It was a moment where I realized I was completely alone. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to go back. But I did because that's what I did. I kept going back. Then there was the night he punched a glass door. I'll never forget that sound. It was like the universe broke in half. He kept saying he wanted his Jason back. Like I was some kind of object that could be fixed by his tears and empty promises. And I had enough. I was exhausted. So I said, Jason left and he isn't coming back. I was tired of the lies, tired of the abuse, and tired of the emotional roller coaster. I didn't care about the apologies anymore. I was done. And in that moment, he slammed his fist right through the glass door. His arm was bleeding badly, shards of glass all over the place. And there I was, just trying to keep the dogs away from mess. Because that's what I was doing at that point. Trying to manage the damage. Trying to keep everything from falling apart. But I had to call 911. His arm was bleeding so badly, and I was genuinely scared for him. And, of course, the police show up, and now I'm the one who gets questioned. It's like I was the one who caused it. Like I was the reason his arm was cut open. Like I was a monster in this whole situation. But here's the thing. It was common. It was normal. He'd hit me, I'd walk away, and then the next day he'd apologize, and I'd be right back in that cycle. People thought I was bigger and stronger than him, and I was, but I never raised a hand to him. Never. There were times I wanted to, so badly, but I never did. Instead, I'd walk out, take a long walk just to calm down, because deep down, I knew if I didn't, I might become just as broken as he was. You know, sometimes the hardest part walking away from a toxic relationship is not just leaving the person. It's leaving everything. The house, the furniture, the memories, the baggage, the mess. But in the end, I had no choice. The house was in my name, but the payments were way behind. Brian made sure of that. He had no interest in paying anything. And credit cards? Forget about it. He'd max them out, all in my name. Heck, I didn't even apply for those cards myself. He did it, using my social security number, without even asking me. Yeah, that's the kind of guy he was. I was stuck with all that debt, but I couldn't let it keep me from moving forward. So I did the one thing I could make sure I never went back to him. I left. I walked away from it all. The house, the debt, the past. I moved across the state in 2011, hoping that a change of scenery would finally help me let go. I didn't want to be anywhere near him, and I didn't want to ever give him the chance to reel me back in. It wasn't just about getting away from him physically. It was about escaping the hold he had over my life. I had to reset. I needed to start over. And you know what? It worked. I've been single ever since. And to be honest, at first, it wasn't easy. But little by little, I started to rebuild, not just my life, but myself. The best part? Once everything fell off my credit report, I could finally breathe again. No more constant calls from creditors. No more wondering how I was going to pay off that mountain of debt. I started from scratch, and bit by bit, I built myself back up. I worked hard, stayed focused, and kept my head down. Fast forward a few years, and I'm now sitting pretty with a credit score of over 800. Yeah, over 800. It's not something I ever thought I'd see again, but here I am, and I'm proud of it. I own my own house now, and guess what? No mortgage. That's right. It's mine, all mine. And let me tell you, that feeling? It's priceless. Oh, and my truck? Bought it last year. A 2018 Chevy Silverado LTZ 71 4x4. Paid for in cash. No financing. No crazy monthly payments. Just me, my truck, and a fresh start. It's one of those things that makes you realize how far you've come. As for Brian, well, last I heard he's still out there, making someone else's life a living hell. But that's not my problem anymore. Thank God, I left that behind.